Hi folks, Dan Abbott. I am making an addendum video for the rod support video that is on my YouTube channel and that is linked to the Brightspace. Because with Brightspace and COVID, we are no longer in our lab, so the location of one of the files is different and the plotter you're going to use is different. So what we're looking at right here is the drawing of the rod support. It's got the object lines, everything is set up, and now we're in a layout. What I want you to do in this layout is this. Right click on the layout tab in the lower left hand corner, go up to page setup manager and modify that layout. We're going to modify it in two ways. First, you're going to change the plotter to DWG to PDF. There are a couple other possible PDF things as well, and I think other instructors like some of the other ones better for different reasons, but this one will work. Then we're going to select a B-size sheet of paper, so we're going to go to ANSI Full Bleed B 17 by 11 inches. Come up here to modify the plot style table, so we're going to pick monochrome. Now when we're done doing that, we have a larger sheet of paper. Now this is the difference in what you have to do as far as getting the next thing, the title block. You have to type the insert command. Now I've discovered that in the current release of AutoCAD, when I type insert, I get an error message now. Worked for a while, now it doesn't. That's the new AutoCAD insert palette. There is an alternative, which is DD, stands for Display Dialog Box, insert. And when you use that command instead, you'll get an old-fashioned dialog box instead of a palette that allow you to use this. I'm going to go and browse, and what you need to do is find a title block. Now these title blocks are in a link that I sent to everyone, and that link goes to a Google Drive, and in that Google Drive there are a number of folders. So if I go to that Google Drive, what it'll look like to you when you get here is this, where there's a folder for every one of the classes, including ours. There's also a folder called Title Blocks. If you open that Title Blocks folder, and for this drawing go into the mechanical title blocks, use the TB inch zone. This is drawing was done in inches. Now you're going to bring that in. I'm just going to drop it in place, and when it comes in, it's going to ask you a couple questions because there's a couple of things called attributes, so it allows you to put the title in here, and then it allows you to put your name in there as well. When you pick OK, title block comes in. Now we're going to go and set this up so that it's going to plot correctly, and then you're going to add dimensions to it. I'm going to move this viewport, goes up here. Now I'm going to make it big enough so it fills just the area of the title block in which I can place things. Notice the title block is off center just a little bit. I'm going to take everything including my viewport, go to the move command. Move command of course can be found up here in the ribbon right there. You can also type M. Just going to take and move this by eye so it looks a little better, so it's more or less centered on the sheet of paper. I'm going to put that viewport on a layer called VP. And the layer called VP is a layer that I created, and when I created it, it's right there, I picked this little button right there that says no plot, and that comes under the plot column. So if I come down here to VP, you notice I've got a number of other layers that are also frozen. Not frozen, but no plot. Now what I need to do is to make this viewport something that represents the object at a specific scale. In other words, I don't want it to look like this, and I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like this more or less, but I have to use a specific scale. So you go down to the bottom of the screen. At the bottom of the screen there are a number of things in the status bar, and one of them is the scale of the selected viewport. Right now it's 0.8, which means it's about 80% of the actual size. If you select the arrow, go up 1 to 1, that means we can plot this, the actual size of the object. So the drawing is exactly the same size as the object. Once you've done that, go back to 1 to 1, and then off to the left, two little ticks, is an open padlock. Select it, it's now a closed padlock, so now you can't change that. Now you can go back to the other video, and this is the part of the video that is no longer correct only because we're not in the lab at school. So it's going to have you, in fact I think in that video I have you add the hidden lines and add the center lines now after you've brought that in. On model space, this looks like that. In the layout tab, it looks like this. Hard to see the line weights unless you zoom in, but the line weights are being shown. And then you're going to go to the dimension mode, and if you type D, it'll bring up the dimension style dialog box, and in the video it tells you which one of these to select before you start adding your dimensions, and it shows you how to add the dimensions.